ITPA itself is a very, very powerful and very draconian law, but it all depends on how you implement it.
Which is a hotspot in India?
See, this whole, it's a myth to call hotspots.
Like why?
Yeah, because you're looking at source, you're looking at transit, you're looking at destination. Sex tourism, yes, you can call when some hotspot something, but all come as children, continue as women.
Right. They grow in that.
They grow in that because once they are not rescued or recovered from the brothel, then they have no other go. They are fishing. Trafficking is something that it's a fishing in the stream of migration. If you look at migration as a stream,
Okay.
so it's a very easy locale.
The most vulnerable?
Yeah, because they are migrating. I used to directly interact with the police and say, go and give the help to them. So in one case, I remember in Meerut, I think, there's a mother who said, my child is here. I've seen her in this brothel. So she's standing outside. The police went for the rescue. They could never ever trace her. This is one case of unsuccessful rescue. Yeah, so, but then nothing moved till I pushed from here.
Welcome to today's episode where we will explore the topic of human trafficking and the governance mechanism combating it in India. We are honored to be joined by a truly distinguished guest, Ms. Bhamathi Balasubramaniam, a 1979 batch IAS officer of the Bihar cadre who retired as secretary to the Government of India and later served as a member of the Central Administrative Tribunal. Ms. Bhamathi is a globally recognized leader in anti-trafficking efforts. She was conferred the Lifetime Achievement Global Award by the Government of United States for her remarkable work in combating human trafficking and the Honor for Honor's Sake Award by Rotary International for her unwavering dedication to public service and social justice. She played a pivotal role in establishing 338 anti-human trafficking units across Indian districts, creating the foundation for systemic intervention against this heinous crime. Today, we are privileged to hear her insights. Let's hear it from the expert. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you. Thank you, Meghna.
So, we would like to understand what is human trafficking. Because a lot of time what happens, human trafficking is mostly related to sexual exploitation or organ trafficking, but it is not. So, we'd like to know more about it.
First of all, let me thank IIPA for giving me this opportunity. Just come all on a sudden. I'm so delighted that you considered it so important to talk about this subject. See, human trafficking, it's been defined. There are three major components of human trafficking. One is when you are using force, extortion, lure, deception for a person to continue an illegal activity, which can be drug, which can be, human trafficking for prostitution or for labor exploitation. So all of these constitute a set of activities where the person is not having any consent. So a child assumed or presumed under law to be not giving consent because its consent is ab initio void. So anybody even above the age of 18, a child, can also be subjected to these methods. So praloban, you say, I'll get you married, I'll get you a job. So that's called lure, deception. I'll get you into the cinema world, tinsel world. All these are called deceptions. Okay. The other is, there's somebody who's doing the recruitment and taking the child from a place A to place B, place C. So that's called transportation. Okay. So transporting is a very important element of the crime of human trafficking. And the third is subjecting the child or the woman or the boys, children, especially girls and women, to sexual exploitation by, it's called commercial sexual exploitation, which means there's a consideration, there's a monetary consideration in it. So these are the basic elements of human trafficking. We have a law called the ITPA, which is there for very long. It's 1986 was the first amendment. So it used to be called SITA, now you call it ITPA, Immoral Traffic Prevention Act. So immoral trafficking pertains to children, not, women and all that, because age of consent is applicable there. So trafficking per se of children is what is banned by law, the ITPA. But later we had something called the Palermo Protocol, which is a UN TOC, UN Transnational Organized Convention. That's a convention which was signed by us after very long in 2011 May, when I was in the Home Ministry, because it was coming for a very long time and nobody wanted to sign it. That definition has been taken lock, stock and barrel into what you call the IPC sections. Now it's called the BNS. So the same sections have come in. And that's how we have these three components of crime, which is not defined in ITPA. So this is the broad framework within which we have to work. So this is these are the crime constituents of human trafficking. Now, human trafficking, when you say, it applies to all forms of trafficking. So trafficking is happening for labor. Trafficking is happening for camel raising. So you take children, take them to the Middle East, and then the cruel ways of organ transplant. Also, you mentioned bangle making, carpet making, silver. When you go into the shop and say, "Mera silver saaf karke de do," or when you get it back, is a lustrous silver that you get. These children are made to work there. They lose all their nails because there's so much of chemical in it. So there are various sex tourism. You can talk about sex tourism as Goa, even Kerala, Orissa, most of these coastal areas. So that's another reason. That's another way for which the human trafficking provisions, the violation of the crime. The crime takes place, violation of law takes place in that process. So these are some other. Now you have the parlors, beauty parlors, all these massage. All these are places where children or women have been trafficked and brought into a situation where they have no control over the circumstances from where they came or the process that they are actually in. They may be paid, they may not be paid, but they have to do. So in the name of this massage and all that, they are actually sexually exploited themselves, because they are forced to cater to so-called customers, right? So the customers come to a beauty parlor, but it's actually a den of prostitution.
Right. Women are more vulnerable for this?
Yes. See, if you take, there's a global, a profiling of this crime. If it's labor trafficking, it's 80% boys. But if it is sexual exploitation, they're mostly girls. However, both have to be, even boys are sexually exploited. They come for labor, for doing some work in terms of child labor, but they're also sexually exploited. Boys are also sexually exploited. Women are exploited per se, sexual exploitation, right? So they also come like domestic maids from Jharkhand to Delhi, but then they get trapped in these places. But sexual exploitation, which means we are talking about, compromising the body integrity of a person, is more with reference to women and girls, more with girls. I have seen children as old as 7, as young, I must say, 7, 8, 9 in these brothels, like that. So this is what it is. So predominantly sexual exploitation, when you say, globally the figure is 90% women. If it's labor exploitation, there are camel raising, boys. So there is a gender disaggregation that applies in these cases, right?
What about India? Where does India stand in terms of trends in human trafficking?
See, India has done pretty well. In the last 20 years, I must say the legal, law enforcement landscape all have kind of tremendously improved, because government is really trying very hard to combat this problem. So when I was in the Home Ministry in 2012, I'm saying this because that's the first year when we came into something called Tier 2, and we continue in Tier 2 now. That means a report, a global report. It generates from the US.
Okay.
It's called the Trafficking in Persons report. So every year this report comes out, and they rank the countries according to the level of response to the problem, right? In terms of law enforcement, in terms of protection, in terms of assistance, in terms of prevention. They have these three or four. One is prevention, another is protection, the third is prosecution. But I would also include the issue of partnership. But these are the three main parameters on which the global report is prepared. So 2011, till then we were in the lowest tier, which is tier 3, which means nothing significant is happening. But it's the first year, because of the work in the Home Ministry at that time, we took on like a missionary zeal. There was an anti-human trafficking mission in the Home Ministry. Otherwise, it's normally done by the Women and Child Development Department. There's a reason for that, because the NHRC report, there's a big report which came up in 2005, which said that we have to criminalize demand. So always we used to say poor children coming from poor families, SC, ST, those are the people. It's not correct. Children across classes, across castes, across gender are vulnerable. This is what came out from that report, right? So it was a study where case studies came up. Victims and survivors were interviewed in that. So in that report, NHRC said that MHA should take a more active role in this in terms of enforcing the law. So that focus.
This was which year?
This was 2006-7, around that time.
Okay.
So, and I was there in the ministry. I was started looking after this work only in 2008. I was still in the Home Ministry only. But that was the time the enormity of the crime and the severity of the crime became an issue for Home Ministry to deal with from a demand angle, criminalizing demand. Okay, unless you take action against, say, traffickers, the mafia, how is it? Otherwise, they'll continue to take children.
Yes.
So there are many views on this. There are people who emphasize the supply angle. There are many who will. But demand angle is there. Otherwise, why would you have these institutions? Why should they be there? You can forget these institutions if you don't talk about demand, right? So you think only a rural development program, you give them, even if you have rural development program, even if you have income generation program, even if you give them Awas Yojana, still there will be trafficking. Yes. So situation has come to that. Therefore, prevention is a challenge beyond words. Cannot really say how it's going to happen. So that report made the Home Ministry look at the issue, the severity of the crime, much more closely. And several initiatives were taken at that time. One is NCRB, the National Crime Record Bureau, which is the custodian of all the published statistics on any crime in the country. I introduced that chapter on human trafficking in NCRB during 2010-11. First time. There was no chapter on human trafficking. So there are crimes against women, crimes against children. So the whole database, even the format was prepared at that time, and that's how today you're having not just a portion of human trafficking embedded in a larger chapter on crimes against women. What you have now is an independent, self-standing chapter on the crime of human trafficking. So it includes, as you said, labor, all other forms.
All aspects of human trafficking.
Beggary is another very big issue.
Right.
So all these things were incorporated. So that's how we are now having more, focused data than what we had before. I would still think it's very limited, but still, and then that report started revealing that because of better law enforcement, because the Home Ministry came into the picture, less women were arrested. Because the police was, in the name of criminalizing demand, they were actually putting women who are soliciting under Section 8 of the ITP Act into the jail, right? Arresting them. Okay. So we issued an advisory to all the states saying that, so victims being further victimized was the profile at that time. So during this period, when we started looking at the seriousness of this issue, there were several steps that we took. One was we had training and sensitization of the law enforcement, the prosecution and the judiciary, and we set aside money for that. We didn't have any money in the budget. We actually found it. We actually searched and found, and from BPR&D, we took the training money. From police modernization, minister said, we will do the anti-human trafficking units. So actually, because Planning Commission said this is not the job of MHA, it is a job of Ministry of Women and Child as per allocation of business rules, right? But then we decided that anti-human trafficking units, which will be set in a police station, will have no connection with the functioning of a rehabilitation unit under the Ministry of Women and Child, or a child protection unit of it. So this unit became crucial for launching the law enforcement that was envisaged and visualized and in the NHRC report. So they became the crucible institutions for fighting this crime in a more direct way. It's like a frontline attack. That was the thought behind setting up
the
these
vision
units.
behind that.
Yes. So we had a police inspector to do it. Then we told the states have to give the manpower. We gave them vehicles, we gave them computers, we gave all the infrastructure, which was a recurring infrastructure was provided to them. But the police personnel had to come from the states. Personnel, central government could not do. Yes. So it was a departure from the tradition of Home Ministry, which says law and order is a state crime. So law and order should be done by the state government. That was a departure which said, took on ownership, accountability for the problem and say, yes, we have to provide that overarching support and strength to these institutions, and therefore, make this fight more realistic and more effective. So that is how the impact of on trafficking was getting reflected. Where you would see it only in the data. So data started generating by saying that yes, less women were arrested under Section 8, which is for soliciting. So, and they were all older women, they're not less than 18 means finish. The law it's a crime. The IIPA itself is a very, very powerful and very draconian law, but it all depends on how you implement it. For example, if you see a child in a brothel, and if it's proved that yes, the age is confirmed, that if it's a child, even one child is enough. The child is there, then the building which is being used for this purpose, for this illegal purpose, can be seized and blocked, sealed.
But that has to be proven.
Provided the inspector gives a report to the subdivisional magistrate.
Right.
And that order of the subdivisional magistrate cannot be challenged anywhere above the SDM. Imagine, that was the kind of law that we had. So it's a very powerful law, but we had to do this training so that people get the capacity to investigate according to law and be victim sensitive. So we used to give a lot of gender sensitization. I myself have taken all those trainings. So we had in the central government training. Then every state we gave money for doing the state government training, and for every district we gave money for district level training.
That's great.
So every district was given an anti-human trafficking unit of this. So all countries, all districts are covered as of now. Every district has no problem in establishment of them. But how they function is another ball game. That that's a matter for discussion. So some of them are doing very well, some of them are defunct. It depends on the kind of people who are manning these. And they were supposed to have NGOs in that committee, prosecution in the committee. So these are all very, very far-reaching sort of, thought that went into the constitution of the anti-human trafficking units, which is the pioneering, which is the unique, which is the unparalleled unit anywhere in the world. We have it.
Which is a hotspot in India?
See, this whole, it's a myth to call hotspots.
Like why?
Yeah, because you're looking at source, you're looking at transit, you're looking at destination. Sex tourism, yes, you can call when some hotspot something. But today, whether it is peripheral area or semi-rural area or urban area, they're coming from somewhere to somewhere. There is a transportation involved. So the crime itself constitutes as a crucial element, the transportation matter. So people are coming from rural areas. So they may not be exploited from near the village, or They may be going to some other village.
Some other place, taken to some other place.
Yeah,
and
yeah. So
then
the
exploited.
transportation is very important.
But any particular area where this thing is rampant, happening very much?
It is happening across India.
Okay.
There is no geographical segregation possible at all today. And no country, even a country like Sweden, Norway, where gender empowerment indicators are one of the best in the world and which are supposed to be non-patriarchal societies, even there you have prostitution.
Okay.
Yes. So this is a universal problem. So we have to get away from the concept of hotspots. What happens is, why I'm saying this? See, when Goa, people were migrating from, say, Karnataka, those bordering areas, Bidapur, all those areas, Karnataka. So they
the
come
border
in
area, huh?
border areas. So they come into Goa. So when we started law enforcement, in a very tight way, started booking all these traffickers, that whole route, nobody was coming. So a hotspot ceased to be a hotspot because of better enforcement. So the moment you start, now GRP is looking after all the railway stations, right? RPF is also looking after all the railway stations. So we used to focus, okay, because transportation is involved. The moment transportation is involved, we used to focus on rail. Now, so much of training went into that organization, whether it's a GRP or RPF of the central government, that people have now moved away from train to road.
Okay.
How do you monitor road?
That's very difficult.
You are doing patrolling so that accidents don't take place or there is no roadside robbery. How do you do patrolling for preventing trafficking?
Right.
So this hotspot issue is a myth. I think we should not go by that, because source, transit, destination, all of them are there. When the what do you call it? It's called the from beginning to end continuum of trafficking is geographically encompassing. So you cannot identify this as a hotspot, this as a hotspot. Wherever child is being taken away is a hotspot. Wherever transportation has taken place and there is trafficking, or you are kept harbored, this is called harboring. I mean, when you transport, you don't take them straight somewhere. You go and keep them in a hotel, and from there you will take it to another place. And if the police are coming, they'll move 10 times because they paid so much money for that child.
There's no tracking also happening.
Yeah. Okay. So, hotspot is not the correct word. We have to get out of that mindset of hotspot.
Right, that's correct. Talking about your journey, how did you get engaged with anti-human trafficking?
Okay. That's a long story. Now, I was in the Central Social Welfare Board. I was executive director. And when I joined, there was already a project on children in prostitution. And a study had already been conducted by that time. And I just wanted to go and see what's happening in this project as an executive director. So when I went to one of these places, so-called brothels, I went there and I saw children, young girls in that situation, educated, literate, I'm saying. And I married, having Mangal Sutra, long Mangal Sutra. Then, kya ho gaya? What happened? Why is it? Says my husband married me and just left me here and went. And children, and the customers are coming, there are cubicles, children are sleeping and their children are sleeping and playing in the same place. It was a hell, virtual hell. And I did not recover from that, from the shock of seeing that reality, that harsh reality. It left me very depressed for a very long time, but then I turned a warrior after that. So I got the opportunity to, that time when my secretary, Women and Child Development, was Dr. Sarla Gopalan. She passed away very recently. And she assigned me a project with the UNICEF, saying on secondment to the UNICEF, says to bring out a country report on human trafficking, on children in prostitution. It was not so much children in prostitution, but all come as children, continue as women.
Right. They grow in that.
They grow in that. Because once they are not rescued or recovered from the brothel, then they have no other go. They are little alternatives in terms of livelihood and rehabilitation, and the family is not willing to take. There's a lot of stigma. So they continue in that, and that becomes their lifestyle. They said, nobody is accepting, nobody is going to marry me, and I'm saddled with so many children because these women go through multiple pregnancies and repeated pregnancies and abortions because condoms were not being used. So these things were all, so this is what, so I brought out that country report. I was assigned the task of doing the country report on on children in prostitution. I called it the conspiracy of silence. I said the girl child, I am a nobody. In one nobody, I bracketed NO, in other, I bracketed body. So, which means that if I'm a girl child, I am a easily dispensable commodity. I'm only a body.
Great.
So, explanation for trafficking, for sexual exploitation, I owe it to that thought, that concept that I embodied in that sentence.
Which is very interesting.
So, this book came out. This book was published. It did go before the Supreme Court. There was a case at that time. There was a public interest litigation at that time. And some of the schemes were also, which were mentioned there, court said that there should be a state advisory committee chaired by the Secretary of Central Government in the center, and every state should have a state secretary of the advisory committee. So you had all stakeholders in that, NGOs, government, everybody. So that was going on for a very long time, and there was an opportunity for everybody to speak about the problem, have it reviewed. So it always depended on the efficiency of whoever was manning or womaning the post called secretary in a state, right? So this is what happened. Then later, I went into as a gender advisor. I was a gender advisor for a very long time with the UN systems. I went to Danida after UNICEF, and after Danida I went to UNFPA. And from UNFPA, I went to UNDP South and Southeast Asia, where the job profile itself was unsafe mobility, which included both trafficking and migration. Because when people come in vulnerable circumstances, coming out for employment or looking for jobs, this is exactly the place where the traffickers operate. So they are fishing. Trafficking is something it's a fishing in the stream of migration. If you look at migration as a stream, so it's a very easy locale.
The most vulnerable?
Yeah, because they are migrating. Why are they migrating? Poverty, one reason.
Some of the other reasons. Yes.
Yeah, so all these distressing circumstances or dysfunctional families, whatever it is. So then you are fishing there. So this is what trafficking is like, fishing in the stream of migration. This is one way of looking at it. So unsafe mobility, you don't know where you're going. You think you're going to get a job, you're going to get married, or you're looking for good prospects, but then you don't know, you're being lured, you're being deceived. All these things happen in the course of being taken out of the fold of the family or the village or the protective circumstance environment. So that was one, and that was South and Southeast. Although office was in Delhi, we were covering entire South and Southeast Asia. Thailand, which is known for this, right?
Yeah.
Thailand, Korea, China, Mongolia, all these countries, So then all the SAARC countries, of course, were there. So we had to go to Islamabad, we had to go to Pakistan, we went to Bangladesh.
Sri Lanka.
So lot of capacity building. The basic job was to do capacity building for NGOs to address this issue. So there was financial support from the UN for these. So once I left I went back to government. After 5 years, I wanted to get back to government. So I came back, and then I got this job in the Home Ministry. Whoever thought you were going to look at human trafficking in Home Ministry never ever thought of that. And suddenly one fine day, I was made Joint Secretary, Center State Relations, which had trafficking as one of its work element. So then that became the crucial desk for JS to do, maybe in the midst of other jobs. There were other divisions also I was looking after, UT, all that I was looking after. But I was JS and AS in the CS division, apart from other divisions of the Home Ministry, where I was able to lead the anti-human trafficking mission of the ministry. So in that context, we had the Palermo Protocol was signed during that time, May 2011. We had the anti-human trafficking unit set up. We started the IGNOU distance education course, and we started doing the training of all the states. Money for all the states for training. Never in the history has money gone for training of police officers at the district level. So that from the center to the district, that was a kind of space that we
created.
Space that we coveted and annexed and did. Yes, now we have to take on this responsibility. Then we had the judicial colloquia, which means we wanted the judiciary to be part of it, because a lot of sensitivity is required across the criminal justice, not just police, because conviction rate is, those days it used to be 10-15%. Now it has gone up to 30-35% because of the units. Basically because of better law enforcement, there's no doubt about that.
Which is still very less, right?
Yeah. How can we say that? Because cases are there. Almost 2,500 cases are reported in the latest report. 2,500 is only a tip of the iceberg. There are many cases which are not getting reported. We all know that problem.
Yes, that's the
problem. There is a problem there. So, yes, the point was there was better conviction. When we did the judicial, the Chief Justice was involved in every high court. I involved the Chief Justices, and in one day colloquia, all High Court judges used to attend, and then we had our resource persons who would speak, and the participants were lawyers, prosecution, district judges, all these police, all these people used to be there in the workshop. Those are very, very powerful part of the anti-human trafficking movement, I would say. The most important thing was I used to do my review almost every month, either online or sitting in office, right? So I used to upload all the meeting minutes on the MHA website.
Okay.
The tip report of that year, where we were put in Tier 2, had actually extracted the minutes of my report. Okay. Saying that this is what good things that we are doing, and wherever I was pointing out that prosecution is weak or that one is weak, all that were also quoted. So they used it to put it in the tip 2 bracket by saying significant efforts are happening, yet these things are lacking. Okay, so that was how we got into tip 2 report. So we used to be very systematic in the review of all the states, no exceptions, and they all used to come for the meetings. And so we tried to do, and at that time, what we did was we also came up with a website on missing children, because missing children are actually trafficked children.
Okay.
When they are missing, they'll say, no, ladka ke saath bhag gaya. That was the usual thing. But
the first thing that comes to your mind is like, she ran away.
So no FIR, aayegi apne se. But so many cases we found that missing child is actually found later in a brothel when it's too late to even bring her back. Right. So missing children was another important, we had a website on that and all those things. And from central government, if somebody said, any person, any NGO said, we want to go and do a rescue, the police is not cooperating, I used to directly interact with the police and say, go and give the help to them. So in one case, I remember, the Meerut, I think, there's a mother who said, my child is here, I've seen her in this brothel. So she's standing outside, the police went for the rescue, they could never ever trace her. So on case of unsuccessful rescue. Yeah, so, but then nothing moved till I pushed from here. So recalcitrance was there. So somebody had to take charge and say, do it.
You
Come
were
on,
instrumental.
do it. So I took it on myself. I don't know, under powers that may not be, or when says president, under powers conferred upon me, I do this. I did this out of sheer, it was a missionary zeal. I could not see myself in any alternate avatar other than that. So this is what happened during that time. Now when I retired, and then I was in one case, I was making amicus curiae by Justice Altamas Kabir in a case of Buddhadev Karmaskar versus government. So we had to help the court in settling that matter. Then we prepared judicial training manuals, which is now being used in all the judicial academies and all that. So, lot of work, multi-dimensional work took place, but that one particular central ministry doing that work made a lot of difference, and somebody who didn't mind going out of the way to get things done. Using even the whatever, sometimes even telling them in very strong words, do this. So, and I left, retired, and went into the tribunal as a member. So immediately after retirement, I joined the tribunal, 2013. And then 2016, I got a letter saying that the US government has, we are offering you this Lifetime Achievement Award. Would you like to accept it? Now, when I was in government, we would never have taken it. But tribunal is also government, really, strictly speaking. It is government. It's part of the judiciary, but government. So I asked my chairman, I said, sir, I don't want to take this award, but if you tell me, if you think that I can accept you, please let me know, because I don't want to do it on my own. He said, you go and take the award and I will deal with any consequences if it comes through. So that's how 2016, 3 years after retirement, the NGOs gave citation to the US government saying that this lady was helped us in rescuing so many children. She was very proactive. Whatever they said. I mean, I did it as a part of my duty, but then that's how it helped them. So we never looked for any awards or rewards and all that. In government, we should not. Also, Nishkama Karma is very important. Bhagavad Gita says that. So that time, that award came in 2016. But my continued interest in this subject was, going and talking about this in schools, colleges, wherever they call me. That was there. 18, when I retired from the tribunal, second time retirement, I said something I have to do. So for a long time, I've been thinking of doing a trust where I could support survivors. I wanted to support survivors. My interest was, if you empower the survivors and they become the warriors to take on the task, so they will say, I don't want another child to face this problem that I have faced. Then you have created an empowered individual who would fight the cause and who would also know the loopholes, know how it's being done. The modus operandi is well known to them. So this was my intention. So I one NGO in Bombay during COVID, a lot of them had lost their jobs. Right. They were all security guards in malls and stuff like that, right? And they were all doing some studies also. So they lost their jobs. So I told this NGO, we will, you train them in your organization in different departments, say accounts department, administration, advocacy, legal. So these 6 of them got trained within their organization, and they finally got jobs within the organization at a much higher level. So they were not doing security guard job. They were project directors, assistant project directors. Oh, that's great. Those sort of things. So, they are shifting from that, the lineage of exploitation to more empowered to a lineage of service.
A high class service as well.
Not high class. Is the sense of dignity of self is very important. No? So once they get that self-image is very strong, then they can do anything. I've seen some of these survivors, so powerful individuals, because they've gone through so much suffering. That's the reason.
And they don't want others to suffer.
Yeah, and they know what it means to suffer, right? Yes. So that was a very interesting experiment. I didn't have money at that time, so I mobilized money for them and gave it to them. Directly, I asked the CSR funding. I gave it to them. So they did it. And it was a successful project. But then I wanted to do something on my own, because every time getting people to... So I said, okay, let me start not an NGO, I wanted a trust basically. Okay. So it's called ASSET, A-S-S-E-T.
A-S?
A-S-S-E-T. How it came, the acronym came because it's called the Annapurneshwari Social Service Educational Trust. And I found, it matched asset. So I said, let it be an asset to society.
It is.
So that's how January 20, it was a conflict of interest. If I stayed in the tribunal and started this trust, it would have been conflict of interest and all. So I didn't do anything. I just left it. Interest of integrity, probity, all that was there. So 20 January, I registered this trust.
Which year?
The trust I registered in January 2020.
2020, okay.
Within
During
2-3
COVID.
months, COVID started. So that was the time we did that Bombay project
Okay.
when they lost their jobs. And my basic thing was to support victims of trafficking, survivors of trafficking. When I say victims, means they are actually in a situation of victimization. Say they may be in a home, they may be, but their survivors are those who have been able to dissociate themselves from those challenging circumstances and have established themselves on their own and are responding to their lives in the way that they want to do it independently with some amount of financial autonomy or whatever, or psychological strength or whatever. So so slowly it veered into educational support. So now I have between 2021 to 2025, I was just giving my report to the IT for the trust, because trust activities have to be reported. They asked me for 3 years, 4 years report. I couldn't believe it. Went into pages of. So we didn't know that we had supported so many children. So the number is, if you start from the beginning, it's almost 150 children for whom.
150.
Yeah, because they were either medicine or engineering or nursing, MCom, computer science, and even third standard, fourth standard, people who are not able to afford education for their children. So in a way it is prevention also, because they are coming from single parent and all that. Then I started a scheme where I opened their accounts in their names in post office.
Okay.
So every year I used to invest money used to go into their account until they get the age of 18, and if they don't get married only, they'll get the money. So in this asset, one of the undertakings that they have to give is that I'll complete the course, and till I become independent or till I reach the age of 21, whichever is earlier, I will
also preventing
child
marriage.
So child marriage prevention was a very important part of this. So they have to give a declaration. So I'm very, very careful with establishing records. I take income certificate and sometimes proxy indicators of poverty, because they may not have income certificate. They're all from informal sector. Maids, something like maids are working. They don't have husband, nahi hai, single parent hai, violent husband, drunkard. All these cases will be there. The child will be.
Where is this trust right now?
My trust. The trust is at home. I am a single. In a sense, I have trustees, but I am doing it entirely by myself.
Okay. And how many people are associated with
Nobody.
you?
I'm alone.
All right.
I want some computer assistance, that's all, because all these data and all has to go to reporting, compliance mechanisms are there that we have to do very carefully about that.
What are the kind of cases that you get?